Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hello to you again, Justin Bieber. So tonight, I'm actually going to dive into Cloud.Squirrel and do some system command line work. This is something I kind of got started on earlier in the week and did a proof of concept, and we'll kind of circle back to that in a minute. And then kind of got carried away, and one thing led to another, and now I'm porting the whole thing. Just for a quick update for the material design project, for those people interested there is a small issue with the Nugets that aren't going out right now. This happens roughly this time every year. The Nuget API key expires, and even though I'm the maintainer, I don't manage the Nuget access. So I sent the email off to the owner, asked James to please update the key, and hopefully that gets resolved soon. So if anybody's wondering why there haven't been Nuget packages dropping, even though there was a bunch of PRs that merged, specifically around the password box, there was a new feature that went in to let you show or hide the passwords. That's now merged in, but the Nuget package is not published yet. So just to be aware of that. Once that Nuget key goes in, I do plan on looking at getting the 4.6 release out the door and buttoned up, since it now has a ton of stuff in it. So with that said, Cloud.Squirrel. Couple streams ago, several streams, I've done and worked on my Squirrel project, the little web service bit to do Squirrel installers. And right at the end last week, when we were working on Color Kraken, I was like, hey, let's just throw an installer on this real quick. It'll be quick and easy. Like, my Squirrel project is supposed to make installers easy. Let's see how easy it is. And it turned out it fell flat on its face, and I learned a whole bunch of things that weren't quite set up right, which was great. After my stream the next day, I actually got the installer and I worked out all the Squirrel issues and got everything published. And I went to download the installer, and my browser goes, file blocked, virus detected. I went, that's not right. There should be no viruses in my app. And I went round and round, bunch of debugging, bunch of tests. If anybody who was following that repo on Color Kraken, I'm sorry, you probably saw like, I don't know, 20, 30 releases get published and then deleted as I was testing things. Ultimately, what it came down to is inside of Squirrel, and consequently Cloud.Squirrel, there is embedded executable code inside of one of the updaters, the update.exe project. And unfortunately, the technique that they use to do the update is a similar technique that viruses often use to do remote code execution. So unfortunately, sometimes you get flagged. And from what I can tell, if you sign your installer with a code signing certificate, an EV certificate, and that certificate builds up enough reputation with Windows Defender, you will no longer get flagged, because now there's a trust relationship that's been built there. The problem is one, I don't have a personal EV certificate to use, at least for some of my free apps. And I'm like, well, it might be nice to get one just to get out of it. And I was like, let's see what I can do to actually address this. Because one thing I didn't realize is when you, if you haven't done this already, so if you don't have Cloud.Squirrel in your local Nuget cache and you download it, I didn't realize the first time I had downloaded that Nuget package, Windows Defender had actually flagged it and had removed the update.exe out of my Nuget package cache. And what I didn't realize is when I was building my installers out on the GitHub agents, I don't know exactly what the deal is or how their Windows Defenders are configured on the Windows agents, but those ones weren't flagging it. So when I built the installer locally, update.exe was missing because Windows Defender had removed it, but out on the GitHub agents, it was present. And the interesting part for me is the installers built locally appeared to work, which then got me thinking, okay, update.exe doesn't seem to be a required component. How does this whole thing fit together? And so I pulled down the Squirrel source code, started debugging it, working through it back and forth. It's like, okay, something's up here. And as I started looking at Cloud.Squirrel, I'm like, Cloud.Squirrel has that new V3 stuff that's supposed to be the new rewrite and a lot of fancier stuff, and it doesn't seem to have the same set of problems. Well, what if I just update Squirrel to the V3 Cloud.Squirrel stuff and go from there? And so I started looking at doing that. The problem being there's been, like, it's a major version rev, there's breaking changes. And because I'm a library built on top of it, there were some issues that came up. And I was like, well, okay. I was like, I could hack around the issues, or maybe I just go and fix the issues that I'm running into in Cloud.Squirrel and go from there. So then I opened up the Cloud.Squirrel, and actually, let me show you this part. So this is Cloud.Squirrel's repo. It's a fairly simple setup. You'll note it started as a fork right off of Squirrel.Windows, so a lot of this looks very similar to this. But when you see this update OS X and this update Windows, this is what used to be the old update.exe projects that have been replaced. So the problem is kind of, at least the initial problem that was getting it flagged, is kind of going away by virtue of it's changing a little bit of the way it works. Great. This Squirrel tool project, I fired it up and I was like, well, let's see what this thing does. And let me show you in here. I think it actually shows it. What's up, Jared? Yeah, so this guy here, there is this new tool, this Squirrel.tool, this CSQ project. This is basically a small locator app. So its purpose in life is to find the installed version of Cloud.Squirrel and execute Squirrel exe under the hood. Let's see. Are those MS build props in a CS file, and what is reason for that if so? MS build props in a... Sorry, I might need some context. Which MS build props? Now I'm trying to go back and think about if I said the word MS build. Yeah, I think I need a little context on that question. But the CSQ.exe, one of the kind of breaking changes with this is, rather than having this thing always be a Nuget, this CSQ tool is actually a .NET global tool. So the idea being that this is one of the tools that you would install. You don't necessarily have to install it as a global tool. Theoretically, in your project, you could install it as a local tool within your project to have it be part of it. And I went, okay, that's good. Effectively, it is working around trying to do that location of where do I find Squirrel.exe. And so I downloaded this tool, and I did what every sane person would do, right? So if we come in here, I went, be bigger, CSQ-help, fired it up. It was like, great. I was like, oh, cool, it does an update. Let's see. I could not see it correctly, which is why I was surprised. It looked like you click on a CS file when you opened update windows or similar. Thought it looked like it had some MS field properties. I probably had double-clicked here on the CS proj to get this open. But no, there is no magical MS build stuff stored in a CS proj file. I may have just been a little funky with my clicking on my Solution Explorer. Me apologies. Anyway, I went CSQ-help, and the thing kicked off and started running, and then it started complaining about not being able to find options or versions, and I went, huh? I was a little confused. And so then that led me down the path of, well, so we've done streams on the system command line stuff, and I become a small command line snob. Like, when I do --help, darn it, I expect, the reasonable help output that tells me how do I, like, what are the options and arguments this CLI expects, right? Like, just like you can do on .NET, right? I expect to be able to do this and then go, oh, okay, what does .NET add do, right? And then, learn my way through the CLI. Like, I want to explore it. I want to play it. I want to see it. And this one didn't behave that way. And so I went, okay, well, we have to do something about this. So now I didn't just blindly go and open a PR, because that's a bit of a jerk move. But I did go in and I posted an issue first, and then Casey? Is it Casey or Casey? Keisei? I may be butchering that name. I think it's Keisei. He had posted and asked for some examples, and so I was like, great, you know what, if we want to see an example, let's go through. I did a PR here, and there's I can drop a link if anybody's interested in seeing it. But all I did was port the squirrel tool.exe, and you can just tell by the number of files, this isn't a very big CLI app. It's pretty small. It's really small. Like, there's 3 options on this thing total. That's it. And that was all there is to it. Now there's a couple interesting things about it, and I'll circle back to it in a minute. But ported this over. He seemed happy about it, and he hit me up on Discord and was like, "Hey, you know, would love to, like, not opposed to going to System Command Line. It looks like a great thing, but you know, this isn't quite right. We'd want to change it to behave this way." I'm like, "Great, fine, we can do that." So that's where we're going tonight. Is I'm going to port something, and this is going to be a lot more complicated than usual. Like, I think I did one. I don't remember. There was another one that we ported on a stream a while back, and I don't even remember which one it was now. But for reference, if you have a CLI app and you are interested in System Command Line and you're not sure how to port it, hit me up. I would be happy to help convince people of porting their apps over. So one minor word of warning that I will say: System Command Line is still in beta, or preview Nuget packages, or however you want to put it, which does mean that there could be breaking API changes coming in the future. Just going to throw that out there. So typically the breaking API changes haven't been bad, and usually because it's a CLI parsing thing, most of your app is probably, like, typically you have the CLI setup bits, right? And then you have the thing that executes. And then the rest of this stuff is probably not in any way related to System Command Line at all. And you're done. So there's that. So just by way of saying, hey, even if there are breaking changes, usually they're somewhat confined to where they're going to be in your app. Now, admittedly, if your app is as tiny as this with only 3 files, hey, that could be a third of your app. Still, feels, in terms of time. I am realizing I made a mistake right here. So this is a console write line. One of the lovely things that we get here is a console. We're just going to switch that over. And I'm resisting the urge to do a lot of stylistic changes in here. I changed a handful of things because one of the this app here wasn't using async all the way up and down, and I think that's largely an artifact of some of the code previously, and it is currently using, or I should say, Squirrel.Tool was previously using mono options. So if you aren't familiar with mono options, this is a very simplistic CLI parsing tool that gives you a lot of functionality. It doesn't come as a Nuget package. It's a single C# file. Now, admittedly, it's a single C# file that's 1,400 lines long, right? And there's a bunch of this stuff. And a lot of people have liked it because of how simple it is, because it's a single code file. There's no extra dependencies, yada, 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 yada. Which is fine. And if you don't care about a lot of the extra goodness that System Command Line gets you, this will work. But the moment you start saying, hey, I want context-sensitive help for subcommands, yeah, this is quick, and this is the quick and dirty approach. So my goal tonight is to kill off, where is it? Mono options right here. My goal is to just nuke it, straight up nuke it. Now, the other thing that that was requested is I went through and I had options. So when I run, let's see, cd:/dev, where did I check this out to? Did I not? Oh, wrong drive. I'm on the wrong machine. cd dev, that one. So when I go in here and go, let's see, source, Squirrel.tool.net. Well, let's just do .net run. Right. If we do this, so the double dash dash just tells .net, hey, everything after this is actually command line arguments that I want to pass to my project, not for system command line to parse. So my version of CSQ, right, there's an empty description because I didn't know what to put there, and there's no descriptions on any of the options. But you'll note it does pick up the dash dash help, it now has version, and all of the extra stuff that goes along with this. I even went through and aliased the solution option, just because. Yeah, and there's CSQ version. This is slightly different. This is specifying a squirrel version, and this is specifying a solution directory, basically. And we'll probably come back to how this app works because there's some cleanup that needs to happen here. Because right now it doesn't support package references outside of your CS proj. So like directory packages.props isn't supported. It also doesn't support it if you, like in my case where I have Skirday with a dependency on Cloud.Squirrel, it fails to find Cloud.Squirrel because it goes hunting through the CS proj, and because it's a transitive, because it's not a direct dependency of the project, it doesn't show up and it doesn't find it. So there's some cleanup to make that actually work appropriately. But we are not interested in that tonight. So one of the requests was, first of all, to effectively forward a lot of these commands in to Squirrel itself, which I think will be easy. But more importantly, let's go in and look at Squirrel itself, because that's ultimately what we're going to need to Squirrel command line. So .net run. Let's just take a look at this guy. Okay, so there's a couple things that immediately make this thing really interesting. Right? So one, it's got this global options thing up at the top. That's fine. We can figure this up. It's got these sections in here. So there's global options, package authoring. The other thing I note is it's doing some coloring in here, which is fine. We can do this. It gets because this isn't a tool that's really important to have clean output on a CLI. As I say, we may play around. If we were willing to take an extra dependency on something like Spectre console, we could get this really easily, but we might not. We are gonna end up, if we take some of the defaults, this display here is a little bit different in how it displays options than how this one works. As you'll note, the current one, this shows it like this. This one is highly specific on you must do option equals value. We can do better. But we got a bunch of these guys in here. You know, this is actually a good point that I wonder. So we've gone round and round on system command line on the default help output, and I do wonder, having a short and a long version, effectively two aliases on a given option. Right now, if you have multiple aliases, like in this case here, it just goes one at a time. But I do wonder if perhaps there's maybe I'll write my own help builder or similar that does a display more like this. Because again, this is one of those cases where, do you want it to work generically or do you want it to be opinionated? And system command line tries to not be opinionated, not be too opinionated. Because it tries to play nice with a lot of things. If you say you want to do something that's not POSIX, then you probably have to fight the system a little bit. But for the most part, it tries not to be too opinionated on how things go. But this sort of help output feels commonish to me. Okay, so we've got a bunch of help stuff. We've got a bunch of options. And then these ones actually interest me a little bit because I was told to take a look at these options here for like the S3 up and down, because the thought was that this is similar to what Skirday is doing. I was actually pleasantly surprised. The author was interested in bringing in some of the functionality that I was planning for Skirday into Cloud.Squirrel proper, which I was like, great, I'm happy to help. Let's do this. So that kind of got me excited. But step one is getting this CLI working. So we've got some commands. The interesting part is these commands. So System Command Line, when it does it, I don't know how important this is. When it does its help output, this is showing all the output all at once. Whereas by default, System Command Line is going to just show your... It's much more similar to the .NET CLI, right? So if I do .NET help, I don't see all of the options for add or all the options for build, right? I would have to go .NET build help, and then I get context-sensitive stuff. And I'm wondering if this is doing it this way because context-sensitive is hard or because this is desirable. And I'm not sure. The other thing that interests me is this cross-platform bit. This is... we'll have to look at implementation, but I have a strong suspicion that this is only global because it's used in multiple. But like, for example, HTTP down or S3 down, I wouldn't expect platform to be used there. We will look and see. Okay, so let's start our spelunking. Let's start the spelunking. Let's go here. Let's start with where the heck is main? This is Nuget console. I don't even know where. There's main. I found you. Okay. There's main. There's an option set. This is a mono options thing, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, it is not. This is... Wait, vey. This... Oh, no. Yeah, this is inside of mono options. Okay. Good. Okay, so there's that. Global options. Usage. When do you recommend System Command Line versus System Command Line Dragonfruit? Great question. So for people who are unfamiliar with it, Dragonfruit is, I think the term we've landed on is flavor, is something on top of, a library on top of System Command Line. Oh, dear heavens. Okay. The fact that I typed in PUBLI and Copilot's like, I got you. What you want is a new main method. Here's your entire... Okay, one, Copilot. That's remarkable that you inferred where I was going. I'm a little creeped out that you're listening to my mic. On the other hand, back off. Bad Copilot. Not what we wanted. Static void main. Wow. Okay. So rather than doing a main method where you take in string args, Dragonfruit lets you write a main method that's like file info, input, bool, my flag, right? And then inside of your main method, you just start writing code. You don't have to think about CLI setup. You don't have to think about any of that jazz. And it just works, which is great. It does end up doing reflection in order to be able to, because it generates a real main, does all the command liney stuff for you, and then invokes your method. So Dragonfruit does have some limitations. One of which is it doesn't support subcommands. So if you wanted to do something that had subcommands, you're just done with Dragonfruit. No support for it whatsoever. People have asked for various additions onto Dragonfruit for other features. And ultimately it comes down to, because the stuff on top of System Command Line base library is a flavor, everyone has opinions, which is good. And you are free to pick whatever flavor you want. For very simple CLI apps, I use Dragonfruit all the time. It's great. As a quick and dirty getting started, it demos insanely well. It is very easy to get up and running. The big drawback though is the moment there's not a migration path from Dragonfruit to using the API directly, which is kind of disappointing. There are other flavors. like we've seen a couple community people put together different libraries on top of System Command Line. We've seen there's a lot of interest in doing stuff with like source generators to get dragon fruit like behavior, but with a lot more support for different things. There's not a library out that I can recommend that does that at the moment. But those are the types of things. So if you're doing something simple and dragon fruit will work for what you're doing, use dragon fruit. With the understanding that if you think it might grow into something more complicated, you might use the API directly. It's not that much extra work. But man, for quick and easy, dragon fruit's awesome. Okay, so we got global options. We got some stuff in here where it pulls out the X. So it first parses the args against the global options. And if it doesn't get anything, so this is optional. If it doesn't get anything, it just grabs the OS name off of this, which, given that this is static, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that there's a static constructor in here or something that assigns to it. Got it. Check architecture windows, blah, blah, blah. How come this just blindly assigns windows? Is this, where is this? Oh, if net framework, then yes, it must be Windows. So if your net framework, check architecture windows. Otherwise, we're going to do some runtime checks. Got it. Got it. Okay, that makes some sense. So just with my pound ifs, that's where I'm landing. What is the target frameworks here? 4.1, net standard, 5, and 6.0. Interesting. 5 can probably get nuked here pretty quick. Okay, so it checks it, attempts to find it here. And this is one of these cases where in ye olde code, you now have to process both Win and Windows and Mac and OS X and Mac OS and all that jazz. We ain't gonna do that garbage. System command line, we don't have to write switch statements like this. We can just parse. But under the hood, based upon the platform, it does get commands. What does this do? This gets a command set, which I'm going to go out on a limb. What is this? Validation option set. Oh boy, we've written a whole bunch of stuff on top of mono options. Oh, buddy. That's exciting. I'm expanding this. I would like to murder all of this too. Oh yeah, there's the right with color, magenta. Excellent. Yes, we do not like any of this. If C is help text, what is C? This.toArray. Oh boy. Yeah, so this has got a whole bunch of parsing stuff on top of it. Right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with this. I'm going to copy this output. I'm going to go slap this into a VS Code instance. And we're going to just set it to the side for the moment. Let's see. Let's open this, paste. Okay, so I think I could work on porting all of these. But like all of this stuff is around like parsing and validation and all of this. Ugh. Yeah, and it's got this own custom validation exception. Like again, all of this is fine, but this is a artifact of using a library like that doesn't give all of the extra validation support. Okay. So this is, what are we in here? So let's look at these. This is commands OS X. That's fine. So let me look at Squirrel command line, because I'm assuming OS X. Okay, we've got commands. This guy builds this up. Okay, so inside of here, these are the subcommands. As it currently sits, these subcommands take in these options classes. What do these options classes look like? Okay. I mean, they're codified POCOs, so that's not bad. Releaseify options, signing options, base options. Current mutable. Huh. Right, we've got our own DI injection. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that and carry on. Not my current task. Not my current task. Okay. And it's hard to know how much of this is Cloud.Squirrel versus Squirrel proper because I haven't looked at Squirrel Windows source code nearly this in depth. Okay, but at least what we can tell right away is these are the subcommands. The subcommands currently take in POCOs for their options. Okay, that seems fairly easy. We effectively just want to build up these options. I kind of wonder if these options are lowercase because they're using reflection to output the help for them. And that's the only reason they're done like this. I also suspect that, well, that one, I was going to say, I was kind of wondering if these things lined up exactly with, let's see, so pack ID. How did they get to you? I'm curious how they did that. Let's see, close you, pack options, right? Because that was, nope, go back, pack ID, you and unique, possibly? I'm just wondering if, oh, interesting. Okay, so we've got, so inside of these options classes, oh, interesting. So so these add and removes and all of these things, I have a sinking suspicion of what's going on. Yeah, let me guess. All the way down, and then there's going to be a reflection-y thing. Let's see. Expecting a reflection-y method that does something like get all properties on self. Let's see. Mono options, this. Sources, argument sources, get keys from item. Not seeing it directly, but I was sort of expecting to come across some sort of reflection on the previous file. Here. This is get. I guess we can always just hunt get properties. That's almost assuredly going to get me where I want. Get properties. Show it to me. You don't count. You don't count. Test project doesn't count. Interesting. Oh, there's a reflection utils. I'm going to go out on a limb. Show me. Interesting. Maybe it doesn't auto add. Let's actually do this really quick. So I would like to debug this. So set as startup projects before I get too carried away. Already got a launch settings. Command line verbose. Great. Let's see, Squirrel host. We're gonna breakpoint launch. Yeah, that get property though was inside of one of these like is null or default. I was expecting something that just iterated. But let's grab this. Package commands global, if help, commands execute rest arguments. So this guy's going to parse, strip out any of these that match, leave the remaining, feed the remaining arguments into whatever command set came out. And the commands that you get is based upon your platform, which if you don't specify one, grabs your current platform. So this will be interesting because this is going to be not nearly... No arguments provided, must specify a command to execute. Okay, so commands order by. Okay, so it looks like you actually have to add them in order for them to get picked up. Okay, that's fine. Like if I pick on the Windows one. Yeah, so it looks like what it's doing is it requires explicit adds. So this is actually something worth calling out for people who haven't seen this before. So if it's not obvious, this is just an arbitrary class that they wrote. And you'll note inside of these curly braces after it, so not a constructor, right? But so technically there's an empty constructor, but the parens are optional here. After this curly brace, if you have a class that has an add method, like hypothetically an add method that takes in a string, you can then go through and inside of curly braces right after you instantiate it, just feed it a string. And the compiler will use duck typing and go, you want the add method. This is how under the hood, like your list.add works. Like when you do new list of string, how you can do curly brace and then just item, comma, item, item, comma. Like that's all it's doing. You'll note here though, this thing's add is a disjointed set. Like the first item's a string, this ain't a string, right? So if we go in here, we go, oh, well, what else does it have? Well, it has various other things on here. And which one are we falling into here? So string, options, and then this is delegate. So, oh, go back. String, options, delegate. Who would have thunk? And then it will go through and it'll call add and it'll pass it right on in. Rinse, repeat. So as long as you add a bunch of add methods, you can have a class where you just go curly brace and just throw stuff at it. And as long as it can figure out what method to call, you're good. Which is a rather clever way of doing this. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's... Now, is this discoverable? No. Is it normal to be able to just randomly add disparate types to a collection? No. Is it sometimes convenient? Maybe. Okay, so let's start with... I think I just want to throw most of this away. I think that's what I want to do. Because I don't need most of this stuff. I don't think I need most of this stuff. Okay, so let's back this up. So up here, what we want is we want to create. So let's start with System.CommandLine. Right? We're going to just kind of start building this out. So root command. Actually, before we get too carried away, we should add the System.CommandLine Nuget package because that's a thing we do. Really want to add more stuff, but I'm not going to. System.CommandLine. Okay, so we want to take this, and I would like this added to the Squirrel command line project, please. Okay, and add. Yeah, I accept. Please be a thing. Boom. Okay, so root command is just a, and I'm gonna. I don't know what lang version this is targeting, so I'm gonna, when in doubt, match the code that's there, right? I'm not trying to introduce styling changes, at least not intentionally. So a root command is the top level command of your CLI object. From like the .NET CLI perspective, it's .NET, right? It is the name of your executable, which is why we don't have to actually give it a name, because it'll say, I am the, whatever the executable is. Okay, So inside of here, we're going to pick on some of these. Let's just do pack first, because I think the rest of this is going to be a lot of release or rinse repeat. So let's do the pack command. So we're going to go command, pack command gets new command, command. There we go. Pack. And let's check. There is a description here for it, so we're just gonna pick that sucker up and we're gonna drop that description right on in. Boom, done. Okay. Now the pack command takes in a bunch of options. So we'll start with, ooh. I wonder. Okay. Time for some regex coding. Okay, so this is a reason to learn regex, because this can save you a lot of time. So I would like to start from the beginning of the line. Turn on regex mode. Let's see. We're going to pick up white space, any number of repetitions. We are going to look for a short alias. So this will be a named group called short alias. It will be a dash, and then we'll just say any character single. Actually, I guess we can just do dash period if we just want any character, right? And then with a following comma, right? So this, let's see, what is this? What are you unhappy about? Let's see, short alias there, and I want you to be optional. Put pressing this. Okay, so that's ignoring the group, but why isn't the group matching the first one? Is that need to be, oh, this is a, there we go. A named capture group is parens, question mark, alligator braces, name of the capture group. We're going to match on hyphen, and then period says any character followed by a comma. And we're going to make this group optional because some of these things don't have it. Then we're going to look for, let's see, alias. We'll give this one a name. And this one is going to be double hyphen. Any character. Actually, let's do double hyphen. Anything that is not white space. All right, so this will come in here. Oh, this is comma, and then this actually should have a space here to pick up those ones. Okay. That's a little obnoxious that I have to put that comma space inside of there, but whatever. Okay, so that'll pick up alias up to there. We're going to do white space, any number of repetitions, and then we're going to grab, so regex is greedy, so you'll note it's trying to grab as much as possible all the way across the line. So then when I go let's see, let's do another named capture group called description. Any character, any number of repetitions, and then we'll match end of line. Okay, so I've written a very long regex. I'll just paste it down here. And it's not quite perfect either, because I'm noticing any of these multi-line ones, it's not going to pick up. Do I care? Because we could actually have this thing pick up RN as well. So if I do that though, it's not going to match. Whatever, we'll deal with these manually. This is just a close second. Okay, so we want to replace this with option of string, and I want to grab. And actually, let's take. Everything has a long description. Let's see. Can also just use multi-cursors to manipulate and add the C sharps in there. Oh, that's a better plan. That's a better plan. Well, is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Put that back. That's a good point with the multi-cursors. I'm going to finish this since I'm already here. I think I want to do something slightly different where I move the double hyphen outside. Turn that off. So we're going to go with, let's see, capture group 2 or alias. I think this works. Just test. Nope. What is, screw it. This may be a little harder than it's worth. Capture group 2. Place, that'll work. So rather than doing names, I'm just going to do by index. So alias option gets new option of string, and then I just happen to know the signature of this guy off the top of my head. So okay, so the first one we're going to do like that. We're going to do like that. This is going to be $1 to pick up the first capture group. $2 with a double hyphen in front of it to pick up the second capture group. And then $3 to pick up description wrapped in quotes. And with a semicolon, show it to me. That's pretty close. New R. Oh, we're gonna pick up all this extra stuff. Okay, you know what? We're gonna just take it from here and roll with it. I think. And it just seems okay. Multi-cursor it is. Let's see. Let's see. I think it is. Let's see if I can remember this. It's Alt. Set them all. We're gonna go here, here. Might just be easier to do this. Yeah, let's just copy it in. Really wanted to regex this, but I'm starting to realize it may be more trouble than it's worth to just do this. Let's see. So and actually, I'm real quick before I get too carried away. I'm wondering if it makes more sense. So, because some of this stuff is going to get shared, teach Copilot to fix it for you. That's the terrifying part is it might be able to. I'm wondering if it does make sense to keep this. And do it inside of here. And do this, right? So actually, before we get too carried away, we're gonna leave this one here for a minute. I'm gonna rename it just so I don't have a conflict. And then I'm wondering, because of the way this is structured, so a common thing that I've seen people do quite a bit is something like, let's see, class pack command and derive from command. And this might be a little cleaner. Kind of like this. We might go this route. So because then inside of here, what we do is base, and we call it pack. And then more importantly, if there's something that's shareable between OS X and Windows, this becomes much easier to do. And it lines up with the pattern that's in here before. This is probably a nicer way of doing this. Yeah, let's do this. I think I like this better. We're going to make this yield return new pack command. There, we'll do that. Okay, and then inside of the pack command, I think this is where we're going to actually take the individual options for it. So we'll do this. I think we're only going to tightly couple some of these. I don't want to, like, I think by wrapping it up in this command, this will make it easier for code review. So that's the hope. Okay, so let's go here. So public option. So here's the first bit of awesomeness, right? Before, this was just a string. We can now tightly couple this as a directory info. So release directory. We're already inside a command class, so I'm going to just leave it like that. New option, and then this guy is going to have 2 aliases. This was the part I wasted the time trying to do before. Release dir. Okay. And then we will put the description on. And then that. And then rinse repeat. Let's see. The way to use multi-cursors is select, let's say, --, then do Control-Shift-L to select all and use end and home keys to move around and add stuff. I agree. And I guess I could have just abandoned this part here. That's a good point. That is a good tip. It's one of those, I spend so much time in Visual Studio, I often forget my VS Code shortcuts. And VS Code has significantly better multi-cursor support than Visual Studio. That is one area where it absolutely excels. And yes, that was a Microsoft Office joke. Okay. Public option string. Let's see. Pack ID. Pack ID gets new option string. And this one is once again going to have the double option. So I'm going to do some of these. And then rather than boring everybody, I'm going to leave the rest to come back to at a later point. But I want to get enough of them in here to where it's meaningful, and then we'll circle back. Because I want to see it start working, and then obviously we can't like execute the command, but we can get all of the parsing and everything working correctly. Oh, I should have checked. I don't think there's disappointing. There's tests on the Squirrel stuff itself, but not on the command line. That's one of the nice bits about System Command Line is you can actually write. We'll test. Okay, so let's pick here. Directory authors include PDB. So here's a good one. We're gonna do include PDB just as a demonstration. So options. Bools get special cases for the command line. Include PDB. Because oftentimes people treat these as flags, which is a fairly common use case. Is I don't want to have an equals option. I just want to have I just want to specify the option, and the presence of the option is a true. The absence of the option is a false. Right? So bools get special cased into there. Just gonna X that out so I know which ones I've done and which ones I've missed. And I should not press down arrow. Probably good enough for now. So I'm tempted to do bitness really quick because that'll be an enum. Yeah, I'm curious. The framework, I'll have to look at how this is used. I think this gets passed off to the .NET CLI. So this one, as much as I want to hard code this list, probably a bad idea. Otherwise, you have to update every time .NET does. which isn't horrible, but it's not worthwhile. What we can do, though, is we can, rather than this being like an enum that's a fixed set, we can have the suggestions. So if somebody turns on tab completion, we can have the suggestions be the ones we know about, but just accept an arbitrary string so that people can pass whatever they want. But the tab completion will at least strongly hint where things should be. But let's do bitness, because this one feels, given that this is literally limited to that, I don't think there's a built-in enum that has bitness in it. Might have to make one. So this is something worth noting. It is typically with enums, it is usually considered best practice to always go through and specify a 0th member. Because if I didn't have unknown and I just left it like this, for example, if I went bitness B, right? Because this an enum is a value type, not a reference type, this has a value, right? It's not null. And by default right now, it's x86, because enums are just fancy names over numbers, and the default value of a number is 0. So typically you want to declare your 0th member as like an unknown, unspecified something, so that you can tell the difference between somebody not specifying it and being a legit value. So just in general, that's usually best practice. It's interesting. So this is going to be a fun named one too. Public option. And I think I'm going to do this slightly differently, because this is a good example where I don't want to just call this one MSI. I think I want to call this one build MSI, because that's slightly more indicative of what it's actually going to be used for. And I kind of want to just drive home the point that these things don't have to explicitly match what the CLI is, because it looked like a lot of those POCOs were named just so that the help output looked nice with reflection, and I just want to drive home that that is not the case. Let's see here. We're going to grab this, and we don't actually need the multi-line here. That. I don't think we even need to do this. Because it's an enum, it knows the valuable types. We'll need to do a little work so that the help output doesn't treat this as a valid option. Because we really, if somebody specifies it, we really only want to accept one of these two. So we'll want to make sure that that gets hidden. Clean up those usings really quick. Okay, so that's good enough here. That's good enough to show us the get commands here. Let's go back to our squirrel info and start hacking away at this. So get commands, this is going to move from a command set to an I enumerable of command, right? So this is going to get back some set of commands. We're going to have to fix the OSX ones here in a second. And then this has some global options. We ain't going to do all that garbage. Package deployment syncing. Yeah, we're going to separate those out, and then we're going to change all of this. Okay. So let's change this up. So this is going to become old, and I'm just going to create an empty method for now. Get commands, and then yield break. This is gonna be straight up empty. Clean up the usings. We'll come back to that here in a minute. So this goes to here. So that now is working. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of that garbage. And I would like to, at the end of this, right, so inside of this try, how far down does this go? All the way out here. we actually don't need... We don't even need this try anymore. So system command line, it will, if there are exceptions in doing any of this, it will write them out. And all this is doing is writing the exception and then telling you to do that for help. We don't need to do that. System command line will handle that for us. So all that goes away. Clean that up. This will end up getting moved into help output. I'm actually going to take this root command and move it further down. We're going to end up in this vicinity. So we're going to do a root command. For each var command in package commands. Let's see. Root command.add. Okay, so we're just going to add in whatever commands we got for the platform into our root command. I don't want to think about any of you. This verbose logging is interesting. We don't need to do this anymore either, because system command line will handle displaying the help if we need it, if the user requests it. Let's see. Validation exception, options exception. These are going to not get thrown anymore, right? Because these are internal exceptions. Yeah, internal exception, mono options exception. Yeah, so both of these are going to go away. So actually, all of this is going to end up dying here. Yeah, so all of that's going to die. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. So I'm going to bring this guy down even further. Need to shut it down for the night. Thanks for the stream. See you, Jared. See you in the morning. Let's see. So then the final thing you do is root command dot invoke, and you can do invoke or invoke async. And I think we're just going to do invoke for now. There may be a reason to change it up later. And you'll note invoke returns back an int. So if you have a int main rather than a void main, you can get back a exit code. Okay, so this is the bool help option. You're not going to do anything. Okay, so let's clean some of this up. So we don't need to add help. There is a verbose option that is desirable. So let's come down here. I think root command add global option. So let's add in, I'm trying to think of the best place to put this. You know what? We're just going to put it right at the top. Public static option bool verbose. Right? Because we're going for parity. But the only nice part is by doing this now, there's a little bit of forgiveness because this is the 3.0 previews. So if there's already CLI API changes, so there's gonna be stuff that are breaking, like the CSQ locator, right? Like that's already a different. Like people are already typing different things on the command line, and then this guy here. I want to confirm that the output we saw here, yeah, so it's tacking on, it's interpreting those strings and adding in prefixes to them. So trying to decide if there's a reasonable enum for this. You know what? We're going to start this thing off as a string, but I think we're going to clean it up later. Platform. Actually, I want to tack this thing in and call it verbose option. Oh, and I keep using target type new, but I don't think I've seen target type new used inside of here. And I'm not trying to add in formatting stuff. When working in open source projects, it's usually considered respectful to try to match whatever coding style they've already got. If you want to get your stuff accepted, let me assure you, matching the coding style will make it so much easier on the maintainer. especially in this case where I'm trying to bring in a brand new library and dependency. You want to make it easy on the maintainer. Okay, so we're going to give those two options there. I suppose we can slap on the description since we have it. That. Should probably do the same thing for the verbose option. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that handles those. We don't need to do help. Global options are gone. Okay, so now we come down here, add global option. So we'll do platform option, and we will do root command, add global option, verbose option. Okay, that gets us there, that gets us there, that gets all of that working. So I should be able to do this. I should be able to do this. You're now obsolete. Okay, and expat is always going to be null for the moment. We're going to have to do something a little different here. Like, this is actually a very weird situation where we're going to end up parsing part and then reparse. So, actually kind of an interesting situation. Yeah, so we'll... But, let's get... Okay, one, the mono options using goes away. Huzzah. Okay, so let's test this thing out here real quick. So if we just do, we're going to do help. Let's look at what this looks like. Because it shouldn't have everything, but we should get some reasonable bits. And in fact, we're going to get a little more than we bargained for. Continue. Okay, so we got this. We got that simply because there's this console write line at the beginning. That's okay, and then we got the help output. So there is no description on the app currently. I don't think there was there one here? Oh, actually, you know what? We could almost do... I know this says usage, but this looks to me to be a description. So let's go down to root command and let's do that as our description. And then we can axe this. Get rid of that. Okay, so that'll get rid of that. Comes in here. We've got the explat stuff, verbose, version help. We've got a pat command. Okay, so now what we would like to do is I would like to see a difference when I do when I change up which... Ooh, there's an interesting idea. So System.CommandLine supports an idea of what are called directives. And I'm wondering if this one might be a better usage of a directive. Let's see. Tests. And I think there is directive tests. So for example, subtly hidden inside of all of this is this concept of a directive. So these are higher level things above the command line syntax itself. So the idea being that directives could do things like drive output type. You can think of it like content negotiation, like what you see on the web. There are some built-in directives for things like parse, suggest. This is how the tab completion ultimately works inside of System.CommandLine. So if an end user turns on tab completion for System.CommandLine, they get tab completion for all System.CommandLine apps. Not just your app. They don't have to turn it on for every app. They have to turn it on once, and then all System.CommandLine apps get it, including the .NET SDK. That's pretty good. But it does require the user to take some steps and edit their profile and their shell of choice. Let's see, directives can be disabled. We don't actually care about that. I do kind of want to have... I was just trying to look at and see if there's an easy way to do this. Because I'm wondering if this makes more sense as a directive rather than as an option. Though I guess it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because in either case, what we're trying to do is drive the available commands based upon the value specified there. And so here's the other thing, is this code that was set up before is very much order-based. And System.CommandLine is not order-based. Show. We're going to end up having to do this double parse thingy mabobber. Okay. Well, we can do this. Like, and this is something worth showing. And I don't think I'm gonna. Well, let's do root command. Root command. What are we gonna call this? Form. Right. So this is gonna be new root command. What we're gonna do is inside of this root command, we are going to tack on the platform option and the verbose option. We're just going to slap both of those on there, and then we are going to do platform root command parse. So you know there's subtly something different that I've done here that I didn't do down below. Down here I said invoke, and invoke does a couple things. Invoke first parses the incoming arguments and gets it into the object model and all of that jazz, which is great. So it'll do the parsing and validation. But then after it's done that, it will figure out which command you wanted to invoke, whether that be the root command or one of the subcommands, and it will then invoke that command. Parse skips that last step. It's just going to parse and give me back a parse result. Which means, just like we saw over, just like how we saw in some of these tests, how they're calling parse, what you end up getting back is the parsed command line, because parsing the command line is surprisingly difficult. But in our case, what we really want to do is we just want to kind of do this thing, right? So we just want to say platform option, give me the value, and xplat. Done. So the cool thing here is, because it knows this was declared as option of string, it will return back a nullable string to me, because the only two options here are the user specified a valid platform option or they didn't. Right? One of those two things is going to happen. And I think I can actually probably do parse result errors. I don't actually care that much. We're going to turn this off because I don't want errors there if extra stuff is specified. And I kind of want to do if parse result dot errors. Like, I kind of want to check for errors, but I also don't care at the same time. Verbose gets parse result get value for option. Verbose. And yeah, so this thing will default to false if it's not set, which I believe is what this thing was started out as before. It's great. Do that. We can do that, and then we can combine you. Yeah. Go combine you. Boom, boom, there. Okay, so that'll parse. So now what we should be able to do is I should be able to change this to -x OSX, and I should get no commands for displayed in my help, because we only declared them for, let's see, warning, cross compiling will cause some features of scroll to be disabled. Great, whatever. Let's see. So now we've got a description set. Good enough. Like, we're going to need to change this up, but you'll note there's no subcommands here. Now, if I change this to Windows, I expect to get my pack command. Boom. Done. And if I do xwin pack, I expect to get help for my pack command. What? Oh, interesting. Is it? Oh, that's... Interesting, interesting, interesting. Why? My pack command has stuff on it, right? Right? Pack command. Oh. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Add. Yeah, let's just pretend like I didn't forget to add them. So declaring them doesn't magically make them show up. In case you're wondering. You have to actually add them. Because I may have declared them on my command, but I didn't do a darn thing to actually... Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. So now I'm getting both my command options as well as the global options. And then I believe if I go... I just want to confirm. I'm fairly confident I can specify the option. Because I think this is the expected way of doing it. Good. That still works too. Yeah, and you'll note here this does have unknown x64, x86, so we'll need to clean those up a little bit. Change the way that's displayed. That's fine. We can make this work. We can make this work. Okay, so that gets me into there. That gets me into there. Okay, now we need invocation. Now we need invocation. Okay, so this is the method we ultimately want to invoke when pack is done. This is a lot of stuff. So collapse. Hold on. This is the OS X one. Where's the other one? On the Windows side. The one that I actually implemented. This is pack. This is calling releaseify. We're going to take this. I'm going to just bring this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave this here. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this public, though. Suppose I could actually just pass it in here, too. I kind of want to kill this thing off, though. Because this thing has two. So pack does some stuff and then calls releaseify, and releaseify just goes. Is releaseify options? Those are different from the pack options. Oh wait, pack derives from releaseify. Interesting. That feels weird. Okay. I'm kind of wondering if I want to use this method or if I want to change it up. Is this options passed anywhere? So it's all just accessing members on here, except for releaseify. But this thing here is all options dot something on here, right? So that's just getting the values off of all of these things. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking what we're going to do, as exciting as this is, it's just we want to share that releaseify stuff, and I'm wondering if there needs to be a polymorphic relationship here where, because there's a polymorphic relationship between the pack options and the releaseify options, if maybe I should have done the releaseify command and had it, or had the pack command derived from the releaseify command. Private void execute. Boom. Let's see, and this is going to take an invocation context. Boom. Context. Done. Okay. Show. What we're going to do here is we're going to call set this set handler. And we're going to pass in execute. And that's going to do all the works. And I think I'm really, maybe I should leave this here for now. I'm going to leave it here for now. I keep him and Han around, and we're going to end up needing to axe it, but yeah, we're going to end up needing to axe it at some point, but for now it stays. And I am wondering if this polymorphic relationship between these two makes sense, but that's a different story. Okay, so we then need to call, well, actually, so what we're going to need is pack options gets new pack options. These things are just straight POCOs, so they're nothing fancy. And then we are going to call commands dot pack options, and then I'm gonna just not, I think in terms of making this code easy to ingest and understand from an outside perspective, this is probably the easiest. Yeah. Okay, so what does release directory map onto? It must be down lower. Where are you? Release directory is all the way down on. Wow, this is where the things start to get really weird. So get release directory is doing all of this stuff and create if missing. So this is interesting that it does a create if missing too. So that'll be something to fix. Release. Why are you not showing up? I want to write this out, and then I'm going to go figure it out. Let's see. Parse result. Get value for option. Release directory. Okay, so. Oh, it's inaccessible. Oh, well, that's dumb. It's accessible here. Oh, are all of these things going to be like that? I didn't look at the accessibility of them. Ah. They are somewhat immutable. Well, doesn't that just bite? Like, they're immutable except for this thing quietly passes off a delegate for assigning to it. So there's that. Okay, I think the simple solution here, rather than fighting with it, we're just going to public things and call it a day. Happy? Get value for option. I'm going to do that for now. So do could be directory info, because we can do the parsing and validation much higher up. You don't have to do it at the point of execution. And that's the thing with a lot of the command line apps written, is they do validation and like type conversion inside of where they're executing. Let System Command Line do that for you. It will do it. It's wonderful. Let it do its happy thing. Let's see. So pack ID, text, parse result, get value for option, pack ID. Let me guess. Inaccessible. We're just gonna. Oh, I don't remember the command. Oh, you figure it out? Oh. Boom. Okay. Hopefully it figured that one out. That's a comma, not a semicolon. Syntax error. Yeah. Okay. And then we did include PDB and build MSI. PDB, context, parse result, get value for option, include PDB. I believe this one is smart enough. Yeah, so the Boolean ones, you'll note, the other ones are giving you back nullables. This one doesn't. Because the presence or absence of it will give you either a true or a false. You can also do like, so this is going to be a slight change in behavior, is before you couldn't do include PDB equals true or equals false. That now works, but you don't have to. If you leave it off, the specifying it will mean true. Okay, so build MSI. Okay. What did MSI probably? And I think what we're going to do is context parse result, get value for option, build MSI, string. So because the cannot be. What is your problem here? Oh, it's an enum. Got it. I don't need a null chicken. Let's see here. And you are period. 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 Gotta remember the IntelliCode shortcuts. They do save time. Okay, so that'll get all of that built up, at least as far as we've declared. It'll do the execution. Away we go. Okay, so that is fine. Like I said, we can come back and do the rest of the building up of this at a later point. Don't need that anymore. That one's done. I'm going to actually put the to-do further up. To-do, fix options, naming, and types. Because right now, most of these things are just straight strings because that's all that was knowable. Now we have real type stuff and validation, that kind of thing. Okay, so that will get us into there. That will get us executing, and we can now run the pack command, and everyone is happy. Cool. Cool. That makes me feel better. I guess then where do we go next? Do we do the help output? Let's start poking at the help output. That might be an interesting one. Let's maybe consider looking at that for a minute, because that's going to end up being a custom help builder, I think. Because what was in here already? Help file. Oh, helper file. That's not it. There's some sort of like help something or another. That's not it. Close, Robert. We're building the installer for WPF, if that counts. Let's see. There was some sort of help thingy-mabobber. Help text. Yeah, where are you? This thing. Yeah, so they built all of these command actions. What is... Show me your references. Right, okay, so this is print help. And then print command name plus description, yada, 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 yada. Group similar command parameters together. Oh, that's interesting. So they tried to group based upon... Wait, hang on. What is this doing? Taking the array of items. This is part of the iteration. If... See, C is the current item. This is the next item. If the current item and the next item are of the same type, continue. Wow, this is highly complex. This is more than I want to fight. Okay, we're going to do something different. We don't really have a good place for this, so we'll just do it at the root. New class. We're gonna try to get a little closer. Help builder. Okay, so this would be an help builder, I believe is the type name on it. Yeah, that thing. Circular reference. There. Better. Gen constructor. Okay. Localization, max width, all of that jazz. Everyone's happy. Okay, so this is what gets invoked here. In the context, let's see if I can remember this. This has the parse result, so you can see all of the parsing. The help builder itself, but we're inside of the help builder. The command that was requested. So I think what we may want to do is back up here. I think we're only going to do this. If the command is the root command. So if command is root command, right? Custom stuff. Else, we're gonna end up doing the base. Right, so this guy comes in here. Let's just go with context. Don't you have a output? Ooh, this is a text writer. Oh, yuck. Oh, that's right, because we don't know where we're writing out to. We could be redirected to a file. Right. So we're just going to go with write line and then go with custom stuff here. Okay. I just want to get this guy plugged in first, and then we'll circle back to actually implementing it. Okay, so we come down here. Let's see. Where... We might have to go to the builder. Let's see, command line configuration. Why am I blanking here? Thought we had to go to the builder in order to get this, because this guy has all of the wonderful stuff. I thought it was command line builder. Am I crazy? There it is. Builder. Command line builder. And then root command. Let's see. Builder dot. This becomes a little different. I thought the builder had an invoke helper on top of it. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Maybe you do have to call build and then invoke. Okay. So when you do root command invoke, actually that's probably worth noting. Root command invoke. If you look at what this guy actually does under the hood. Let's see, get default invocation pipeline, yada yada yada. Get or create default invocation parser. So this thing actually ends up building up the same thing. There's the parse, there's the invoke, all of that jazz. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be a little more explicit because we want builder use defaults. And then we want to do builder use help. Do help builder. Okay. Wait a minute. I'm blanking on this API. So use help, which is fine. What? I'm very confused at this overload. Help option. Yeah. That I'm tracking with. You want to change the aliases? That's fine. That's fine. Action customize. Customize help layout. Okay. I am blanking on how to use this thing, so we're gonna go back over to here. We're gonna just take a quick peek-see at the docs. For what little there is. Oh, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. Okay. Builder customize help layout. Let's dive into there. Customize help builder. So help builder on customize. Like I'm happy that this is a callback, but how do I get my custom one in here? I want my custom thing in here. Oh, well that's what I'm being an idiot. Use a help builder. So I have a help builder. I would like to use help builder. Help builder. Get rid of this garbage. All right. Let's see. Hang on, I know you're there. Use help builder. We just saw you. Oh, it wants a binding context to help builder, and the binding context will have the localization resources on it. Ew. Am I getting no IntelliSense here? Why are you being so... Console parse result dot. Oh, Visual Studio, you've lost your mind. IntelliSense, please. Let's see. Where are the resources? Parse result. Not appear to have them. Console. Man, how do I create one of these things? Okay, getting a little annoyed. Okay, let's just open this thing up. I'm not entirely sure why my Visual Studio is being dumb. Actually, I might just reset this Visual Studio instance, because you are annoying me. So I would like to get the custom help builder plugged in. Once you plug a custom help builder in, you can pretty much do whatever you want, which is great because that's kind of what we want. We want to do something that is very not normal. Okay, you are struggling a great deal. Okay. Off. Okay. Start there. Come here. I would like to go to there. Please find it. Thank you. Okay. I would like to use help builder. Oh. Did we rename it? Nope. This got changed. Command line builder. Command line configuration. This is all well and good. There's the factory. Okay. You're not gonna make me instantiate one of these. I can't instantiate it. I mean, I could bypass the builder altogether and just go straight into here, but why would the command line builder not allow me customize help builder? I'm just very confused as to how. And the funny part is I helped build this and I'm confused, which I think we can conclude that means it's a bad UI, or at least a bad experience when the guy who built it can't seem to figure out how the heck to use it. On customize. The current SDT is not. I'm sorry, what? Somebody rev this up to net 7? I missed a. I missed an update apparently. Okay, so that's exciting. Let's see. So let's go here. Where are your references? Help builder tests, don't care about it. Help builder customization. We don't really want customization. We really just want to override this thing. Parse result, command result, localization resources. So that's kind of a pain to get to, but we can get to it. That's all fine, but where is the... This is the command line builder. Is there... Interesting. So there is... Okay, so use help builder exists. This is what we're invoking, right? Binding context. Okay. And the binding context as a parse result. Okay, so that's fine. There's the magical incantation. Okay, so we want that. We want that, and we want to come back here. We want to do this. I want to do this. And I want to do this. I want to go. That should work. What is your bloody problem? Does not contain a definition for use help builder. Oh, mine may not have this, and this is only 62 days old. Oh. That could be what I am fighting against. That is probably what I am fighting against. Yeah, because that isn't exposed anywhere. All that exists. That is interesting. Okay. I can't do this until next release. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go here. I'm gonna leave this commented out, but what we can do is a parser, because this one has an overload that takes into command line configuration, so we can just build it up ourselves. And then what we can do is we can pass in the root command. And then here, look at that, help build our factory. That's what we want. There we are. Oh, that was a lot more work than it should have been. Let's see, this is a binding context, right? Is what that thing is. Yeah, binding context to help builder. Binding context gets, and actually we can just grab this lovely guy because this should work. It goes like that. Like that. That goes like that. Okay. Let's see. Parser. Invoke. There we go. Okay, that's actually not that bad. We do a config, we create a parser, we invoke on the parser. Okay. Okay, so this guy here should show us our custom help. I think. We'll know in a second. Press any key. That did not do what I expected. So let's check our help builder. Let's launch. We aren't hitting it. What are the parameters we're passing? Pack -- help. Okay. And invoke. Let's take a quick look at you, because this is doing invocation pipeline. Invoke. Which I assume is going to be remarkably similar to here. Parse, invoke. Invocation pipeline, invoke. Yeah. That looks kind of like what I would expect. Whoa, let's just make sure we're actually getting to this guy. Okay, we're getting there. Args contains what we expect. And then we exit. Huh? I'm not gonna lie, a little bit confused. But root command invoke works? What? Oh. If you don't pass the config to the parser, it's not going to use your config. Duh. Okay, and there it actually tried to run a pack. So there's that. So that's better. Surprised it tried to run a pack. Oh, it probably doesn't have the use defaulty stuff set up on it, because it's because normally when you do the, I gotta remember I'm looking at something new. Clear this out here real quick. Invoke. So when we do invoke on parse result, command extensions, right? So when we do this invoke here, which is what we are hitting, this does get default invocation pipeline, create default invocation parser. Yeah, create root command from symbol, blah, blah, blah. Grabs the parser off of it. If it's not set, it does a new builder with use defaults on it, and then calls build here. So this is what gives you a lot of the magic out of the box. So the version, the help, environment variables, parse directive, suggest, all of this stuff, right? The problem being, we're not getting the stuff. Which does make me kind of want to take another run at this builder bit. Use help, that's not quite, because that creates a parser. And really what I want is all of the, like these use defaults, I want all of these things set up. This thing does show a use help builder. Why? Okay, I'm confused. Okay, this seems fine. All of this for not because you were just being dumb. Okay. Builder, build, invoke. Okay, so this should get me all of the stuff. Okay, try again. Try again. Show me. There we go. Now we hit our help builder. The command itself is the pack command, so it's going to do the underlying bits. We should have gotten the output for the pack command. Okay, great. Now if I go here and I take off pack, I expect to get my custom output, which is going to be basically nothing. All right, so here, custom stuff here. Great. Okay. This is where we actually want to end up doing some work. I'm trying to remember. all of the bits that are in here. On help context. Help builder. The current parse operation. Was section skipped is internal, so it doesn't matter. Okay, but I thought there was some stuff in here, like all this Git layout and whatnot. Is all of this private? Git layout, default Git layout, help section. Man, is all of this private? Did I make all this private? This does not feel good to me. This feels yucky to me. Help builder. Jump into here. So help builder dot default. Okay, so they're okay. So they're okay. Got it. Okay, got it. I got you. So it's not on the class directly, which is why I'm not seeing it. But let's just alias this thing off real quick, so I don't have to type that every time. That's going to be annoying. Okay, so I should be able to do sc help builder default. There we are. Now we're getting stuff. Okay, see, now we can start pulling information off of this. And then we can get layout, get each of the help sections, and all of that jazz. Yeah. This is what we want. Okay. This is what we want. This here. Okay, so the default implementation does this kind of stuff. And I think we want to mimic some of this. Nope, go back. So we want to do some of this. Yeah, so we want to do that. We don't care about a customized delegate. That's worthless. If we do default dot get layout, and then right section, and this is just a straight up delegate, right? I believe. A little disappointing that that thing's internal and not exposed to me, but this will get me close-ish. Okay, so what I kind of want to do is move this into something a little bit nested, because I don't think we want to show recursive commands. But from the output that was here before, we want to show global options, package authoring, package deployment syncing. So I almost want to do some grouping of commands. So let's start with that. And we actually don't need to check this because we know it's the root command. So we're not going to do this garbage. So let's start with here. So is root command. Just going to do this. Root command. Right? So root command global. I can't get the global options. Where do you go when you get added? I want the global options. Add option. Oh, so it's just calling add option with is global set to true. Okay. Options. Where. Let's link it. Where x dot is, oh, there's no way for me to get access to global. Well, doesn't that just bite? Doesn't that just bite? Okay. Global. I want to know which ones are global. Show me how I get access to it. Ah, see, this one can get at it. Well, that's cheating. That is cheating. Okay. Boy, this is going to be a little harder than I anticipated. There might need to be some system command line pull requests here in a minute. I need some way to get at the global options, and there is not a good way. I don't see a way to get at it. Okay. Let's go back to that find result. Is there another global place? It's required. That's in parsing, so that won't matter. What is this checking? Valid tokens. So that I don't care about. Collapse that. I don't care about properties. Benchmarks don't count. Dragon fruit doesn't count. Generator doesn't count. Rendering doesn't count. Suggest doesn't count. Same for the test, the command line test. There is no way to get, okay, well, this just can't stand. We need to, well, we're going to check real quick. Let's check. Global. Tell if a built-in handler was called instead of set handler. This one was the beta. Is this where it got added? It is unclear how global options work. Yeah, that is... So it was added somewhat recently. Accessing global options. Have access... That was used... Place calls like this. Yeah, so this is close. Keep that one open, but I don't see, because this is a fairly recent thing. Generating CLI tool usages. Yeah, so there, okay, so I will bug this one up. We'll save that for later though. Okay, so there is not a clean way to get access to the global options. This is very, very difficult. What we can do though is we know our global options. We do know our global options. We can actually get them this way. Right? Is... So let's do... Right, global options. So, let's see. We want to mimic what was there before. Got the wrong window. We just want this. Options. So we want to drop this guy in first, and then context, output, right line, and then this is going to be default dot. Let's see. This guy was previously. Yeah, so we just want to get the string for an option. It's option section. Get argument description. What does the option section do? Let's see. Command options is hidden. 2-column row. Right columns. Wow, this is not trivial. Wow. Okay, so this is attempting to... It grabs all of the options, walks up through the parent commands. Avoids adding duplicates. Are you internal too? Get 2-column row. Public. Okay, if that's public, can I mimic this? Because really what I want to do is do lists of 2-column rows. And then write columns. That's really what I want to do, is write columns after grabbing both after adding 2 rows. So let's try that. So theoretically I can go context, builder, get 2-column row. Let's see, we want squirrel host. We'll do platform option, context. Let's see, list. This is doable. 2-column help row. 2-column help row. Global rows gets new. So global option rows, add, boom, boom. Okay, so that gets me into there. Paste. Rather than platform option, we're going to do verbose option. Great. And then I should be able to do context, help builder, write columns, global options. Okay, so this works. Oh, and you want the context as well. Okay. So that should get me something close. Kill breakpoint, execute. Okay, so that looks, aside from the help not showing up, that's pretty close. We might want to rename the argument to be platform. Let's see about doing that real quick. So if we come into here, and oh no, this is the global one. So we want to go back to the host, platform. Do you have a nice little, well, let's go here. Platform option, argument help name. platform. Done. Boom. That should make it show up as platform rather than there. So that's better. And I apparently dropped an S at one point in time. Okay. And then it would be great if we could display the help option one here as well. So can we get access to that? I don't know. So where will that be? We may have to look at the object, because in System Command Line, the help option itself that gets slapped in there, I don't think it's added into the actual object model. I think it gets intercepted. There's effectively, when it's doing the invocation, there's a middleware pipeline that works a lot like ASP.NET Core, where different handlers get an opportunity to see the parse results, see the arguments, and handle and do different things. I believe the help is flowed through there. So if we were to look at command, I don't think we're going to find it buried inside of like the children or similar. Oh, look at that. Actually, I take that back. There it is. So inside of root command, children is a help option. Okay. So we can get access to that guy, and we can, let's see, if root command children of type help option, first or default, and then we will pattern match. So is double curly brace help option. What's your problem? Help option is inaccessible due to its protection level. Of course it is. Of course it is. That dumb. That dumb. Okay. We'll just snipe it by alias then. I know it's in there. First or default, so x dot. I think it had. I feel like it has alias or it's name. Oh, children. Oh, we gotta type this. Of type option. Now we can get access to it. Before it was just a set of symbols. Let's see, alias is a set. I thought there was like a has alias already on here. Ah, look at that, has alias. Perfect. Oh. Then we're gonna go up here. We're gonna make this the option. Boom. Okay. So aside from how difficult I've made this look, worth noting it works. Okay. Run that. Here we are. Adds it in. Okay, that is getting to be a lot closer. Okay, so that got me the global options. And now the question will be grouping the commands underneath it. And I think actually going through and making command classes that derive from command will make a lot of sense, because it'll actually allow us to add something to it. So I'm thinking what we want, public interface by command. Let's see, string group name, right? Help group name, perhaps. So if what we do is this, right? We come on here and we slap this in. Boom. And then we do, I think what I'd like to do is implement explicitly. That way it doesn't show up necessarily for everything. And then this guy here, I kind of want his group name to be the package. Oh, this is pack, so we want package authoring. So then, as long as everything, we can now group all of our commands like such. I'm going to do that. And then group commands. We're going to go with root command children of type I'm questioning this a little bit, but yeah, an I command is probably a poor name. But group by x dot help group name for each var and now we've got these guys, and now we can. What's your problem? Let's see. Okay. So now this will be a context output right line. We're going to do with one of these maneuvers, one of these maneuvers, one of these maneuvers. We're going to go with a command grouping. Oh, this is going to be key because it's an I grouping. Okay, so that'll get it the name. And then for each var command in command grouping, this is where we're going to end up writing out each of these guys. Where, for example, we're going to do something like this, where we write out the command name there, the description, and then spit out all its options. So we will do, they had a command helper. Where was that? They're like a command line. Where was that? In commands, where it showed all of the magenta bits. Oh, is it under this utility thing? There's a lot of stuff in here. Magenta? Don't care about that. This guy. Console write with color. Oh, so this is literally write the foreground. Okay. Okay, so that's all that's doing. Boy, I'm really tempted to pull in something to do this, but we're gonna keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. It's just a blind text writer. We will do this for the moment, but this is highly hacky. And then we are going to, yeah, because these two things aren't linked in any way. So we're going to go with and.name. Of type command. Filter those suckers down for me. So we're going to do write Well, I guess we can do a write line. We can do this. Do command.name. And I can't remember, was the magenta part of the... No, so it's just... We're actually going to do a write of just command name. And then here, we are going to go with context output write line. This one is going to be colon space command description. Something about like that. Okay. And then let's see, context, help builder. Do you not have customize symbol? Kind of hoping that this would give me a little lower level for how this is set up. I guess we don't worry about it. The specified, does this ever get... Yeah, I guess for now we just we keep it simple. Our option in command. You have options right on you. You do. We'll take that. The list, do column help row. Option help rows, new option help rows, add, and then this is going to be context help builder get to column row, because doing 2 column row output is actually kind of complex. It's not terrible, but it's kind of a pain to do. Okay, so there's all that, and then we're going to come in here and we're going to go with write columns. So this should work and get us at least down through the pack stuff for the ones we defined. Breakpoint off, let it go. Okay, so package authoring. Let me just put this to the side here real quick. We've got package authoring. We need a new line after it. So we're going to go, need a new line after the grouping name. Okay. That's doable. Come back here. Actually, to be fair, we want a new line before each. This new line should actually be before each command. We'll move it inside. Okay, and then let's see, there's that. So I really want to strip out the global ones, though. I'm a little confused why I picked up the global options a second time. What did I do wrong? So this should have been children of the root command, and then iterating over them. So let's launch this, because we only should have the one pack child command. Okay, so command grouping, great. Package authoring, command. So this should be our pack command, which it is. Okay. This is our pack command. We should get an option. This This is the release dir. Oh, because I wrote out global option rows, not help option rows. That'll probably do it. Okay, there we go. That looks better. We need to set the argument name here on the release dir one. So we come over here and so release directory. I believe we can just do this. Argument help name gets directory. Boom. I'll clean that up a little bit. Like, it's not going to be perfect unless we do something different for specifying it. We're not going to get the equals, but I kind of am okay with that unless I'm told otherwise. Though the ordering of these options is weird. Release dir didn't drop the aliases? No, it didn't. Okay. There, that should be fine, because it does intentionally order the aliases based on length. Shorter ones first. Okay, and then let's change this one up, because I think we can clean this up now. I thought there was a... There's the parse. Is it not on here directly? There's a validation bit. Add validator. I thought there was a... where is the... There's a get valid values. Because there's the get completions. I guess the question is, what is the help builder using to get that list? And if we override the completions, will that be good enough? Add completions. We're gonna just do foo and bar real quick, just to prove that we can override these. Because I'm not sure that those are going to... I thought there was like a valid values. Yeah, so those are getting added under the hood. Argument. Oh, it's all the way down to the argument. Oh, I can't get at the argument anymore. Oh, from among. I think that does it. Rather than... I think that filters down the valid values. Still allowing it to be picked up. Interesting. Argument completions, add. How do I clear you? I really want to clear you. Completions. Do you expose any way to clear your collection? Completions. Oh, so the first time I call it, it's going to do for type, which I'm pretty sure is what's going to bite me. So that's the only exposure to it. How do I get at you? How do I get at you? Argument. Show me that completions bit. Is there a completions clear? So I can get at you that way. But does option let me pass in my argument? I don't think it does. No, because a while back we stripped away exposing the argument for an option. That seems problematic. Well, that also seems like a problem for future Kevin to deal with. So I'm going to start here. Getting to System and line. And I'm gonna actually make a new branch since there's a PR on the other one. System command line full upgrade. So we're gonna do this, and if anybody is interested and wanting to play along, feel free to do so. It is out on my repository. But I think it is late for me. I am tired. I do want to try and get this one done at some point, so you may see me poking at this a little bit more, because I would like, again, this is like several steps removed. I would like to get some of the Cloud.Squirrel stuff done so that I can get my Scurriday stuff where I want it, so that I can release WPF apps. Again, I am totally rabbit trailing and chasing, and that is the joy of doing this. But it is late. I will tell everyone thank you for coming and hanging out. Happy coding. See everyone next time.